word that has been proclaimed to you.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." The Lord replied, "If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. Who among you would say to your servant, who has just come in from ploughing or tending sheep in the field, 'Come here immediately and take your place at table'? Would he not rather say to him, 'Prepare something for me to eat. Put on your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink. You may eat and drink when I am finished'? Is he grateful to that servant because he did what he was commanded? So should it be with you. When you have done all that you have been commanded to do, say, 'We are unprofitable servants. We have done what we were obliged to do.'" This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to your Lord Jesus Christ.
I was in a house the other day, and it was a very modern home, very techy. I love all that stuff. I love gadgets. And the homeowners could control their thermostat from their phone. Pretty cool. They could even talk to Alexa. You know Alexa? Great friend of mine, Alexa. And their voices, they could control the temperature. Very cool. And I thought about how things had changed. When I was a little kid, I was privileged to be raised in a very beautiful home, and with my siblings. And there was no central heating, though, in the early days. No central heating. The home was lit by fires, by fireplaces. So there was a very grand fireplace in the dining room. There was a fireplace in the living room. There was a stove in the kitchen. The fires had to be lit every day, every morning. A bit like Downton Abbey, you know? And as kids, we were taught how to make a fire, how to build a fire. And it began with tiny little pieces of wood. What do you call those little pieces of wood? Smart people, kindling. Yeah? And sometimes rolled up newspaper. And you'd get the wood burning, kindling. And then you'd place some heavier pieces of wood on it. And then came in Ireland at least, here came the real ingredient, the coal. We have coal fires, not wood fires. And you were just hoping that the coal would light. Because really they're pieces of rock, aren't they? Oh, you're hoping. And most times it did. And then you'd add more and more to it. And it transformed the room. It brought light. It brought heat. It brought a sense of comfort. I can remember coming in as a schoolboy, you know, in the fall and in the winter. Sometimes it rains in Ireland. Honestly, sometimes it does. And you'd come in wet and miserable and cold, and there would be the coal fire. It was lovely. You felt at home. Now, the fires have to be fed. And so once we came home from school, it was our job to make sure the fire was kept going. However, sometimes we would forget, or we would get distracted. And you'd go into the living room and you'd just see this dark mass in the fireplace. Oh. And the light had gone, and the heat had gone, and that sense of comfort had gone. But we knew what to do. Our parents taught us. We had to try and get the fire going again. It was very simple. The fire needed air. It needed oxygen. And so the first thing you do is get a newspaper or something and you try to fan it. Some houses were fancier and they had little bellows. If that didn't work, you'd open a window hoping the draft would get the fire going. And if you kept at it, you would see one of the little coals, one of the embers begin to glow. Aha. You kept at it, and the second coal began to glow, till finally the flames would appear. The fire was alive again. And the light returned, and the heat, and the comfort. Why am I telling you about coal fires? Because of the second reading today. Paul's writing to Timothy, and he tells him, fan into a flame the gift I gave you. In Greek, it's the charisma, the charism I gave you through the imposition of hands. Fan into a flame. And those are the words of Paul addressed to us this morning, all those years later. Fan into a flame the gift you were given by the imposition of hands. And you're thinking, well, you know, I was never ordained. You're saying I was. By the imposition of hands, but actually you did receive the imposition of hands. At your baptism, the priest or the deacon bless you with chrism and ask the Holy Spirit to come upon you. And I'm inspired looking up at this ceiling this morning. At our confirmations, the bishop imposed hands on you, even from a distance, and the Spirit came upon you. Fan into a flame the gift you were given. It's very easy in our faith journey to become bored, indifferent, sort of mediocre, just do your bit. Sometimes it's worse than that. Sometimes people really struggle with faith. Or sometimes they've been scandalized or discouraged by what's been happening in the church. And it looks like the fire's going out. That glow, that enthusiasm, that hope, those dreams. People have said to me more than one occasion, you know, the church is dying, like, you know. And I said, well, it's certainly tough times. And they're going to get tougher, just to let you know. With many more challenges ahead of us. But the Spirit is with us. The Spirit is with us. Even if we end up back in the upper room with 12 people around the table, that's okay. The Spirit is with us. But it's not just up to me. It's up to us. If our faith is going to be renewed, we have to be renewed. So I'm going to suggest 3 ways of doing that. The first is no surprise. Prayer to praying. And to pray for the gift of faith. to pray for hope, to pray that we can dream. The second is to study. You're all very intelligent people and very well educated, but sometimes our religious education ended a long time ago. When's the last time you read a book about your faith? I don't mean the newspapers. When's the last time you fed yourself intellectually in your faith? And finally, service. To serve. True story, I was talking to a lady a couple of years ago, quite a delightful lady, but you know, she'd had a tough life. She came from what we call these days a dysfunctional family. In Ireland we call them crazy, but here we call them dysfunctional. And she had a tough life, God love her. And you know, and she'd been very unfortunate in love. And her relationships, disastrous. But she went to work every day, and she said her prayers, and she went to Mass. I said to me, there's just something missing. I'm doing all these things I'm supposed to be doing. It's just, something missing. I said to her, are you serving? Are you serving? No. I did a long time ago. Well, it's time to serve again. And I asked her to volunteer to visit our housebound. In my former parish, we had about 6 nursing homes. Visit the housebound, the sick, those in the hospital, bring them communion, spend time with them. And it was wonderful. She found a contentedness. Did her crazy family disappear? No, they were still around. Was life magically just all perfect? No. But there was a consolation. Because we have been given a gift to serve. And if we're not serving, ultimately we're not going to be happy. There's going to be a frustration there. So pray, study, serve. I want you to pray a prayer with me that you might remember. Since I'm under this dome and under the Holy Spirit, come, Holy Spirit, fill the heart of your faithful and enkindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit and we shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. Let us stand.